Simon, new Southampton manager Nathan Jones. Yeah, it's done. It's confirmed. What is it? Look, you were telling me earlier, 4-year deal. Yeah, he's got a deal until 2026, 4.5. He was in the stands, Simon, 3.5-year deal to watch Southampton beat Sheffield Wednesday on penalties. So when he comes, Ralph Hasenhuttl has gone back to where Ralph Hasenhuttl came from. Is the winter break, Simon, a positive or a negative for a new manager like Jones coming in at this particular stage, do you think?
Absolutely. I don't know how many players Southampton will have away on World Cup duty. And I might be slightly inaccurate to suggest that he'll have the bulk of his squad there to be able to work with. But he's going to get, if he has got the bulk of his squad, he's going to get the equivalent of almost a pre-season with these players to be able to impart whatever wisdom, whatever culture, whatever outlook, whatever disposition he wants to impart upon these players. You know, I think Southampton, people will allude to the fact that Southampton went for a certain option. I think they spent a lot of time on this, and I think they think that he matches a lot of their expectations from the way he wants to play to the way he involves himself inside the confines of a football club. You know, he has a certain way of playing, and they think it matches their expectations. I think they paid a decent amount of compensation for him, and I don't think it was just a case of looking down the pyramid for a manager that might become economically viable. I think they spent a few considered moments making sure that he's the right guy. So
yeah, I think £2.5 million compensation.
I think it rises on the basis of Southampton's achievements.
Yeah.
So if Southampton, I suspect, stay up and do other things, there'll be other kickers in there for Luton that will give them some reward and recognition for a manager that's going over there and perhaps writing what's going on at Southampton. But it's an interesting one, because it's one thing managing at Luton and managing with certain budgets and certain expectations and certain fluidity. It's another thing going into a Premier League club that we're reading is trying to raise money to give itself a bit more capital, and perhaps we'll talk about that later on, and managing in the Premier League, which is very, very unforgiving.
Yeah.
But he does have a group of players that know one another. He hasn't got a situation like Steve Cooper at Nottingham Forest, where he's got people that probably don't know one another in the dressing room and trying to knit together a team. Yeah.
As I said before, I think it's who you know more than what you know, because he's going in there and apparently his big mates of Matt Crocker, who is the director of football at Southampton. So the two know each other well. There is a link to Jones, and they got their man. What do you think of the deal? 3.5-year deal. Is this a big show of faith in Jones?
I think it probably, given the fact that I'm of the understanding that this wasn't the only option for Nathan Jones, there were other clubs that were interested in him. He wouldn't put himself in a situation where he has a short-term deal that was basically, we'll give you 18 months. So I think most managers would like to see 3-year contracts. Given the fact they're in a season already, he's probably said, I'll have this and 3. Otherwise, what's it? You know, I don't fancy it. I need to be given an opportunity to be able to build a team and some surety and security of being able to do that. Now, of course, all it really means in the great scheme of things is if in 18 months' time he's stuck the place out, Southampton are going no further forward, then he'll get some bigger deal in terms of how much money he gets paid on the way out.
Yeah.
But on the way in, what they've suggested is this is our man. We believe in the appointment that we're making. Our man has negotiated himself a deal that means that ultimately we commit behind him in the same way he's committed to us by coming to us. And I think it's representative of a quid pro quo, isn't it? Southampton had a need. He had an ambition. The two things met in the middle. They believe he's got the chops to get them into a space and place that gives them an opportunity to stay up this season and build.
But you're not on his back because of the amount of time he spent with Luton.
Absolutely
after
not.
Coming back.
But we've had this discussion.
Because he's done it before. I know we've had the discussion, but normally you'd roast a manager for doing something like he's done.
No, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't.
Yeah, you would.
No, I wouldn't. Because if you look at my argument is always when somebody has just walked through the doors, been there for 5 minutes and is looking at the bigger, better deal before they've even done anything meaningful. This guy...
He was longer than 5 minutes. Is that your argument?
Well, this guy was there for 3 years. Even the most unrealistic of people, and I don't fall into that category, would sit there and say, if a guy's been with you for 3 years and you're a certain type of football club and you've got a certain type of aspiration and ambition, a certain type of ownership structure, with all due respect to Luton you've got, right? Why would you sit there unreasonably and be like King Canute and say, I demand the Seagulls back, I want you to forget any opportunities, you've only been here for 3 years, we've profited out of you, you've profited out of us, we're going to get a deal that's fair and equitable and representative of your service. It's not ideal.
Yeah.
But I don't condemn him, because what I condemned other people with was the Johnny-come-latelys that land in a dugout, do something for 5 minutes, don't earn their stripes, and all of a sudden, because they look like they're on the right trajectory, someone else comes along and goes, I'll take you, and they forget that someone gave them an opportunity.
Okay.
That's my point about criticising managers that jump too early.
Nathan Jones is in at Southampton. It's a 3.5-year deal, and his first shot at steering them further up the Premier League table comes on Saturday at 3 o'clock at Anfield, where Liverpool are already priced at 5-1 on favourites to beat his Southampton. Coming up to 10:30.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.